Hi there and welcome to Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. I'm Sonja from Your Success Story, Single Mom Level Up Edition, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. I'm a mother of 3 wonderful daughters, and when my husband separated from me in 2017, he moved out on a Sunday and the next morning my mother died unexpectedly. During this time, I was although in the middle of chemotherapy. Suddenly, I'm all alone with 3 small children. As a single mom and a businesswoman, I know firsthand how challenging and rewarding this journey can be. When I first became a single mom, I felt overwhelmed and uncertain about the future. But through support and consistency, I've managed to build a life that I'm proud of, both for myself and my 3 children. This podcast is all about celebrating the incredible stories of ambitious single moms who are not only raising their children with love and dedication, but also pursuing their dreams and building successful businesses. Each episode, we will dive into their journeys, exploring the heights and lows, the lessons learned, and the strategies they've used to overcome challenges. My goal is to inspire, motivate, and provide valuable insights for all the amazing single moms out there who are striving to create a better future for themselves and their families. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and there are endless possibilities when you take charge of your life. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. I'm your host, Sonja and I'm so excited to have today on the podcast our guest, Corinne Klarmann from Germany. She's from Munich, and I'm beyond excited to share with you her story. Hello, Corinne.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for welcoming me. And I just want to say I'm so glad to be on this podcast. Finally, us single moms have a good voice and a good platform.
Yeah, so important that we share our stories. And so far, you are not divorced. You're in the process of separating.
Yes, so I'm separated, and I have been for the past 20 months. And yes, I live here in Munich. But I'm originally from South Africa and in Durban, which is a coastal town. And yeah, I've lived in Germany for 12 years now.
How many years?
12.
12. Ah, great. Wow, it's a really long time. So we agreed about talking today a very important topic. And I think so many women can relate to that because I did as well, that giving up our life or that the things we love to do because we want to avoid having any struggles or any discussions with the husband and all this. So why did you choose this topic?
Well, the thing is, I realized, or I got to a point after many years, it wasn't an overnight decision, as it often is with women. We take a long time, I think, and we'll find every reason to stay. And I think it's very important to look at our lives and look at the quality of our lives and see if it is giving us anything or bringing us anything. And I don't mean that in the sense that we should have everything in our life serve us and rate it, whether it's good or not, and that judges the quality of our life. But if it's consistently a source of conflict, if it's consistently a source of struggle, and if it's deeply affecting your mental health, which in this case mine was, my conflict with my ex, he had certain personality traits that I would say didn't really line up with the person that I was becoming. And this actually prevented me from growing And I wanted to grow. I wanted to move forward. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to experience more of life. And I wanted to do it with him for sure. I wanted to decorate our home in certain ways. And I found there were a lot of areas in which he wasn't willing to walk with me into this area of life. Not that he just wasn't able, he wasn't willing. And he had his own struggle. And this made it very difficult for me to choose this path because obviously we have a history, obviously we share a past, obviously we share family, and we have a son. And so this was not an easy decision. The message that I got after many, many months of discovering this decision, because it's a daily decision, right? So discovering this decision every single day, every single time a conflict came up, and every single time I had to wrestle with whether this is what I want for the rest of my life, whether this is the quality of life I'm looking for, whether this is something I can be my full potential in. And especially if you're an ambitious person, you want to live your full potential. You want to move forward. You want to grasp life by the horns, they say in English. And I found myself shrinking myself down to be a more digestible version for him. And then I realized I was living my life to be acceptable, not just to him, but the people in my old community, the people I was surrounding myself with. And not just was I shrinking myself down, but they were also simultaneously refusing to see the person that I was becoming and acknowledge the change and growth. Because I think, and I have had this experience and seen this example in many women in my life, there comes a point where the version and the broken version of you benefits people a lot more. And that means they refuse to see you when you do grow and you do heal. And the moment you start walking in that healing, they don't want to acknowledge that because the old version of you suited them so well. They could feel needed. They could feel able to cross certain boundaries that maybe now you have. And this was something that was really difficult for me because while I valued those friendships, I realized I would only be able to serve those people in the broken form that I was. And I realized if I cannot have people in my life who want to walk alongside me, no matter what version I am, then those people don't deserve to come with me in the next chapter if they don't support me. And simultaneously, as a mom, I realized I'm not giving the best version of myself to my child. And how much of a disservice is that to do to him? Because when I look back at my childhood, my mother went through the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I do not want my son to look back and say, my mother neglected me. My mother didn't do this. My mother shut me out. My mother didn't do everything was possible to take care of herself first so that she wasn't pouring from an empty cup every day.
Yeah, wow.
And I realized that my ex was making more holes in my cup, more and more holes in my cup, so that I was giving all my energy to the conflict, all my energy to fix him, all my energy to help his growth. And I had created, I almost was like the perfect stepwood wife, right? I would wear the floral dresses, I would go to church on a Sunday, I was baking every single weekend, I was pouring out of myself so much. And when there was a pregnant person at church and she gave birth, I would cook meals and organize meal trains, and I was there. And no amount of me trying to people please and trying to show up for people ever was reciprocated. It never came twofold. When I had my son, there was no meal train. There was no support back. And I realized I was almost as if I was pouring into people who actually had no intention of ever loving me back on the same level. And this was difficult for me because I was raised to believe that that is what a life of fulfillment looks like. You get the husband, you get the kid, you get the life, you get the house, you have a semi-successful life, and you're medium happy, and that is enough for contentment. but I had nothing with my own name on it. I had nothing that was mine. And my entire married life was helping my husband to get better in his life, to gain his career, to create the most perfect environment for him to flourish. And yet I realized I had spent most of my energy and my effort maintaining every single aspect of this home and every single aspect of this life to benefit him. And none of it at all benefited me. The pivotal part for me in this journey came when my father passed away. And he passed away in 2019. So it's been 5 years. And he was 46 years old. That's right. I said 46, not 64. He died of a heart attack and a stroke. So it was a sudden, overnight thing. He originally never took good care of his health. So he wasn't really diligent in that aspect. And it caused a big change for me because often, as I've read online, obviously I'm into wellness and mental health. And I read up about grief, and it does say when a parent passes away, it causes us to question everything in our lives. It causes us to question whether things are serving us, and it causes us to reckon with our own mortality. This came the point where I started the journey of becoming more and more unsatisfied with doing all the stuff and being a human doing and not a human being. I could never be at peace. And I realized I didn't want to live outside of my boundaries, if you know what I mean, for the rest of my life. I did not want to overextend myself. And this period of separation has really caused me to reassess my boundaries and put some up. And also what looks like healthy boundaries, what benefits me. There came a point, obviously, where you go to the other extreme, where you isolate yourself. And I think this often happens because if you're hurt, then it can be something that you paste onto every single person, right? Okay, one person hurt me, so this is gonna hurt me too. Everybody else is gonna hurt me. And I think it's not good to paint everybody with the same brush. I think it's very important to, unfortunately, nobody's gonna like hearing this, but go through the valley. It's very important to go through the journey of learning the hard lessons, because the person that you become on the other side of that is worth all the journey that you go through. And that you can't earn it. That is the cost of that is the journey. And so it's such a valuable price to pay. It's horrible. Don't get me wrong. It's not an easy path, but I think it's so valuable and it's so important. And I think it's very important as a single mom that your children see you struggle. I think it's very important for our children to see us overcome hardship, because they do not know what they are capable of. They are children, and in Munich, we live a relatively sheltered life, a relatively privileged life. So they would very rarely see their parents struggle and win. And it's very important for us to show them every part of that journey so that they can see and in their own mind, my child is 6 years old, understand that there's hardship and then there's winning. And even if you fail, then you pick yourself up. And that is also winning. And I think that's really important to teach them so that they can apply it to their own life, and even in their childlike interpretation of it. I think it's really vital. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Corinne. That's so much impact, and so let's go really deep. Thank you so much. And let's go back to the beginning a bit. You said you cared so much for other people, and you're so far away from your home, your family you grew up with there in South Africa, and I think you are alone now in Munich and building up a new community for yourself. And so you're not only a single mom, but you're also, more or less alone with everything. You have no background, and you were always giving and giving and giving. When people gave birth, you helped, but you never got the help back. And so it's really a tough decision to say, okay, I'm here all alone and I give now up that community. So many women stay because they think, okay, it's better than nothing.
Yes. Well, this is the thing. Okay, I will preface what I want to say by saying I never did it to get anything back. I never did it. Obviously, when you're doing things out of the goodness of your heart, you don't have the expectation that people will love you back the same. Obviously, if you're a mature adult, you realize that not everybody will love you at the same level as you love them, right? And I never did it for anything back. I never did it. But I did have an expectation. Maybe it was the wrong one, but I did have an expectation that I'm also equally part of the community. And there were a lot of times where my community did help me and they did pitch in and they did assist me. So it's not as if I was totally alone the whole time. I invested a lot of my time and energy, sometimes almost a full work week, into the community that I was part of. And when I made the decision to leave, it was devastating. It was really difficult. But I realized they were no longer my people. And when I left South Africa, I was very young. I was 20 years old. Yeah, 21 years old. So I was very young. I had never lived anywhere outside of South Africa. I had never lived anywhere that wasn't my mother's house. I had never lived or even flown overseas. So moving to Germany was my first overseas flight, so my first international. And it was, I'm the kind of person that says, okay, we'll figure it out afterwards, right? Let's just do it. And that's gotten me into a lot of difficult situations, but I've always managed to get myself out. And I think slowly but surely, the hardest part of losing that community was realizing that I'm no longer fitting there. And I would much rather let that community serve people who want to be part of it and are willing to almost be the person that fits into that community. Some people have to change themselves in order to fit a community like that. I didn't, but I realized I outgrew those people. And it's nothing against them. It's nothing against anybody or anybody did anything. It just did not no longer feel like I was contributing in any excellent way. And they were not getting the best of me and I wasn't getting the best of them. And I think that if you cannot go together in the really, really dark times, and if you cannot walk alongside each other in this time, then, I think it's time to look for other community. And I'm part of other groups. So I'm part of a trauma support group here in Munich for women who have experienced trauma, any kind of trauma. And there are a lot of international women. There are a lot of German women as well, but we are a lot of international women. And it's really interesting to see how this community understands. And I don't think that my old community was equipped for all the differences that come with being in a relationship with me. I don't have that expectation from anybody or any of my friends to understand my past and understand the certain reasons why I make certain decisions. And there's certain things about my personality that unfortunately are a trauma response. And there are ways in which I'm managing that and also taking responsibility for it and dealing with it. And obviously I have other people who are a part of it. So I have friends and I also have friends who know me for a very long time. And I also have people that I can rely on, like my therapist. And so I actually refuse to give up these people because I know that they will go with me through things. So my trauma support group are there for a specific purpose, and my best friends are there for a specific purpose. My best friend is single. So there's a lot she doesn't understand about being married, separated, divorced, right? My other good friend, she's married. So she understands about being married. And she also knows my ex. So this helps. And I think it's important as women not to just have all your friends know everything that's going on in all the areas of your life, right? I think it took me a long time to learn that. And I realized in my old community, I was actually telling everybody everything. That's actually a trauma response when you tell everybody everything.
Yeah.
And everybody deserves to have full access to you. And it took me a long time to draw myself back, to reassess. And I spent quite some time in isolation and thought, how much of myself am I willing to offer these people? Not testing them, because that's unfair. And not everybody is equipped to deal with that part of you. And I think it's important to have fewer people that you rely on, but that they know what you are dealing with, and different people for different aspects of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's also good to have people where you can look into the future, that you not only always speak about what was, because you need to focus on a new life. Your old life happened and there was trauma, and you have to clear that and get over it and work through it. But you also have to focus on something new, something you want to build. And in this case, you are also a role model for your son. And as you already said, it's important that he sees, and all our kids need to see that we as a mother, that we stumble, but we also get up and we allow ourselves to have a happy life. Because, when we stay in a relationship because we think we have to stay because of our kids and to please, to be a people pleaser, our kids think, okay, it's normal that mothers cry, parents shout to each other. That's normal. No, it's okay to say stop. And I leave. I'm responsible for my life and for the life of my kids. I take responsibility for everything and I leave. And it's a hard time, but I stand up for myself. I get up, I grow every day, and I have this community for that, my therapist for that, and these friends for that. And that's, amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Corinne.
It's a pleasure.
So, what was at the beginning, what was the biggest problem for you, and what was not the problem, the biggest challenge for you to make that decision?
I will say it like this. I think my biggest challenge was letting people help me. Because I didn't grow up as a single child. I have a younger brother, but my brother was born when I was 7 years old. So for most of my developmental years, I was alone. And my parents had their own things going on. They had other priorities. And this meant that a lot of the time I was figuring things out for myself. And I built a very rich, very deep internal world where I processed and saw the whole world through this perspective. And the perspective was, I have to do it myself. And I think this was really, really prevalent. And then it became even more exacerbated by marrying someone whose priorities were elsewhere. And this actually made it worse. This idea of I was basically a single woman who was married. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was doing everything on my own. My ex helped in certain areas, but in a lot of other areas, I was carrying the mental load. And this was really difficult with having a child. And this made it it was another trigger. Elliot, my son, was born 1 year before my dad passed away. So in this very short span of time, I had a child. Then my uncle passed away, my dad's brother. Then my grandfather passed away. My my mom's dad, and then my dad passed away. So within 1 year, I had three major male figures in my life pass away, and I had a child. And so it was this massive catalytic event that really propelled the rest of my life forward. Like what you were saying, we're looking forward, right? And so I realized the way that I was behaving and the way that I was handling and managing my life was not serving me. I cannot do it all alone. And it took me a real step of faith to rely on other people, to let them help me, to let them walk with me through this, to let them see a side of me that wasn't perfect, that didn't have it all together, to let them see me fail and let them see me break. And this idea of being vulnerable in such a public way made me very uncomfortable. And it was going through this uncomfortability where I was almost forced to. There were a lot of events that happened that almost forced me to be more visible, including things that happened in the community, things like this, where it put me more in a public area. And people saw this side of me that didn't have it all together. And then I almost had to admit to myself, I can't do it. I can't do it on my own. And this was the hardest part.
Okay, yeah, thank you for sharing. And would be one thing you want to share with women to give them strength and to do the change, to do a step to take responsibility for your life? What do you have something you want to share here with the women?
Well, I want to share this. Thank you for that question. That's a really good question, actually. I want to share this. I came from a country at 21. I have no degree. I have no qualification. I made a life. I have no family here. I got married. I had a child, and I live in Munich. I am a freelancer here. Every month, I have no idea how I'm going to make it. And I have not been able to study, even though I've been accepted at 3 different universities. I haven't been able to study. I speak the language. I teach the language. And I did everything from nothing. I have no parents I can rely on. I have no trust fund. I have nobody helping me out. I have nobody saying, here's €1,000, you can make it through the month. No one. And if I can do it, if I can say, okay, I'm a freelancer, I earn a freelance salary, and I will separate from my ex who was earning much more than me, not full-time, but more than me. If I can say just financially, I can do it, then you can do it too. And no amount of disrespect, no amount of abuse, no amount of neglect is just work through it. None of it. If you have communicated your needs over and over again, if you have walked through the hard things alone, if you are a single married woman, if you have to do all of the work, all of the mental load, all of the emotional labor, care for yourself and for your partner and for your children, you're doing too much. And at the end of the day, if you have nobody who takes care of you, it's not an equal partnership. And if you have said over and over again, you need help in this area, you need help in this area, you need help, then it's no longer we have problems. It's you are intentionally being disregarded and you are intentionally being disrespected. And you have to ask yourself, how long will you allow somebody to disrespect you? Attention is not love.
And it's not only that someone else doesn't respect you, it's also that yourself don't respect you. And that's so it's important to see that we don't respect ourselves if we don't say stop and I want to change and I do everything for that change. We have to do that. And that's respecting our needs, and we are the most important person in our life. It's not our kid, it's not our husband, it's not the parents, it's I am the most important person. And you already said your coffee cup had a lot of holes. Yeah,
Yeah.
your cup has to be full. It has to
Yes.
be full, and then you can give.
Yeah.
And in first place, mothers give to their kids, but you also only can give to your kid
Yeah.
if your cup is full.
That's
So
true. You really have to prioritize yourself, and you really have to make sure that if you do not respect yourself and you do not have self-worth and you do not choose yourself and love yourself, you cannot expect anybody else to either. If you do not see the value in yourself,
yeah,
and it's hard, maybe you have been devalued, maybe you have been raised to feel like you have no value, but there will come a point where that's no longer an excuse anymore. You have to take charge of your life and take charge of your decisions and value yourself enough to know that you are capable. You were fine before your partner, and you can manage to do it without them also. If this is a step that you feel is right for your family, for you, and for your mental health, nothing is
mm,
worth the price of your mental health.
yeah,
Nothing.
absolutely.
And I want to also say something that really helped me is to want to create and put my name on things. And this is really, obviously, I've always been ambitious. I've had like 3 different businesses in the last 12 years.
Mhm.
And I am my own business. The reason why I make it through every single month is because I'm a great English teacher and I'm a great business English trainer. And I've done this job out of necessity for many, many years. And then it was only later on where I decided, hey, I have knowledge in a certain area and I want to pass on that knowledge. I want to live out this talent. And I want to no longer make it a hobby, but actually do something that contributes and also has my name on it. It's really important.
Yeah, that's great. But you're not only an English teacher. What are your, I have your, as you already said, you have different businesses. What's the main business and where's your heart going to?
Well, that's a good question. But I'm a digital marketer. So I started blogging way back in 2015, back when blogging was not blogging. It was just back end stuff. And I started then, and I really realized I love to educate and talk to, especially women of color, especially Indian women, all women really, and give them more information than they had. So, for example, how to pick makeup. And I started really, really basic. And I taught myself everything I needed to know. There was many, many years where I thought, oh, I don't know enough. Oh, I don't know enough as her. I don't have a degree in this. I don't know enough. And this year was the year I said, no, if the only thing holding me back is myself, I'm doing a disservice to myself. So I said, even if I know only 50%, I start. So I started my digital marketing business in April this year, and I'm learning every single day.
Mhm.
And there are times where I have burnout and I say, okay, I cannot create anything this week. But I noticed when I do start, it's almost a chain reaction. It starts to get more and more and more, and it helps me to have a creative outlet. And I love it. I love creating. So basically, my business is teaching other people, especially women, how to set up their own digital marketing businesses. So, how to do exactly what I did, but with more tools, obviously, because I didn't have enough of these tools in one place.
Mhm.
So I sell a lot of eguides and I sell a lot of products that I've created myself, how to leverage Instagram to make money off of it, how to create good reels, how to really monetize Instagram. It's not just Instagram, also it can work for other platforms, but really how to create a digital marketing business. And it's not limited to the area of digital marketing. So let's say you're a hairdresser. You can start a digital marketing business with e-guides for hairdressing. Maybe
Mhm.
somebody wants to know how to balayage, and you can make a nice e-guide on Canva, but you don't know how to use Canva. So I teach you how to use Canva, and you can set up your own digital marketing business. So it's applicable to almost every single field. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Really great. And ladies, I hope you listened deeply what Corinne shared with you because it's so amazing. And it's for me, it goes very deep because yeah, there are so many nuggets and you should re-listen to this episode because yeah, when you want something, and that's what I take from Corinne, from the last words as well, there are always opportunities. And as you learned from Corinne, she's coming from nowhere and from nothing, and she was able to create, and she's still in the process, and that's what we all are. It's always a process of thriving, and yeah, we learn every day. So do I as well. So there's nobody who says I have learned everything. So that's on the last day, maybe you can say, okay, I'm satisfied with everything. But yeah, we should learn every day and be open for possibilities. They show up, I think, or I believe in it, that when you made a decision that you want to learn more, that you want to achieve something, that you want to build a business, and everybody has the possibility to make money and to create something. And yeah, and I think that's a fear a lot of women have. How can I manage it financially?
Yes.
But yeah, Corinne showed us it's possible. Thank you very much, Corinne, that you were here today on our podcast, Ambitious Single Moms. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a last word you want to share?
I just want to say thank you so much. I'm really grateful to have been here, and also that you listened to me, even if I rambled. But I just want to say thank you so much for the platform. And also, it's so great, this initiative that you started. It's really important. And it's important to have all your information in one place. I think this is really something that a lot of people and a lot of single moms can benefit from. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Corinne, because there are so many single moms, and every woman has a completely different story. So we can learn from every woman. From every woman. So yeah, there are, even if it's just one word a woman picked up from you, then in another podcast episode it will be another word or a sentence. So that's what it's all about, to learn from everybody and share it, give it away to everybody, and to grow, because we are here for growth.
That's true.
We shouldn't allow other people to limit us, and that's
true.
Great what you shared with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. It's been an absolute pleasure having Corinne today here share her incredible journey and insights with us today. I hope you found her story as inspiring as I did. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts and questions you have for Corinne. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. And all the links and additional information about Corinne, about her business and how you can reach her, and of course my links, you can find them in the show notes below. And yeah, your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you amazing content. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep thriving. See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. Let's embark on this journey together and rediscover the magic in our lives. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode.